Minister Plasterk wordt gecorrigeerd door kinderen. Adam Curry creëert er zo zijn eigen waarheid. En One More Thing is er ook te vinden. Ik heb het natuurlijk over Wikipedia. De online encyclopedie Wikipedia is opgericht in 2001 en is sindsdien uitgegroeid tot een van de grootste websites ter wereld op een 7e plek tussen MySpace en Facebook. One More Thing was in San Francisco op het hoofdkantoor van Wikipedia en sprak met de oprichter en groot Apple-fan Jimmy Wales. Jimmy, you started Wikipedia by yourself. Could you tell us why you started it?
So I was really looking at the growth of the open source software movement, free software, and noticing something really interesting was going on there. You know, people were coming together and making, things like GNU Linux, Apache, Perl, PHP, all the software that really runs the internet was, put together mostly by volunteers using a free licensing model, and I realized that form of collaboration would be something that'd be really important going forward. And an encyclopedia seemed like the first easy thing for people to collaborate on.
And how did you pull it off? Because writing an encyclopedia by yourself, that's quite...
Yeah. Actually, sometimes I get email from people and they think I wrote the whole thing myself. Complain about an error on a very obscure page, and I'm always tempted to write back, I'm sorry, I was really tired that night, I made a mistake. But we had a community of people. We brought a community of people together to talk about starting the encyclopedia. Had a prior project called Newpedia, which was a failed attempt at the same thing. And then wikis were actually invented by a guy named Ward Cunningham, and they had been on the internet since 1995. So it was kind of a combination of different factors that allowed us to really get off the ground in the early days. And then of course we got a lot of attention from places like Slashdot and sort of the open source tech press. We're very interested in what we're doing and sent a lot of traffic, and people got involved, and it just grew and grew and grew.
Okay. Could you tell us something about the philosophy behind Wikipedia?
Yeah, so the basic concept of Wikipedia is probably best expressed by my traditional vision statement for the project, which is for all of us to imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all human knowledge. So that's what we're doing. So that's really the sum of it. So there's a lot of things that are implied by that. By free access, we're talking about free in the sense of open source. So everything's under a license that allows you to copy it, redistribute modified versions. You can do things commercially or non-commercially. We say every single person on the planet, and that's really important to us, so we're very, very global. We have Wikipedias. There are over 150 languages of Wikipedia that have at least 1,000 articles, and there's more than 250 languages total, so we're really, truly a global phenomenon. I think one thing that a lot of people don't know about Wikipedia is that we're a charity. We're a nonprofit organization. We have a tiny little staff of 25 people trying to run the 4th largest website in the world, so that's kind of an amazing thing. And we exist from donations from the general public. Most of the money that we get to run Wikipedia is from small donors. 50 to 100 euros, that kind of money is really important to us.
Okay, you had a fundraising, I think, the last few months?
Yep, we've just concluded our annual giving campaign on the website. We raised just over $6 million. The bulk of that is from small gifts from the end users, people who come to the site and see that, there's Jimmy Wales says I should give money, so I'm going to give some money to help out because I love Wikipedia.
Okay, so you're really the face of Wikipedia?
Yeah, sometimes I am, yeah.
Why don't you choose to put ads on the site and to let that way fund the whole ecosystem?
Well, we think of Wikipedia as being special and different, and we think of Wikipedia as being like a school or a national park. It just doesn't feel like the right place for us to have advertising. So we like the way we're funded. We like being a charity. We're always thinking about, what are some of the other things we could do to bring in money. So we're putting some increased efforts into some business development ideas and things like this. But at its core, we really like the purity of Wikipedia.
Okay. You've got a very small paid staff over here, and for the rest, a whole lot of volunteers. Is it how do you manage this difference?
Well, the staff is involved in doing things that are really completely different from what the end user editors are doing. The staff here, we have technical people who are involved in keeping the site on the air and improving and maintaining the software. We have a communications person who's helping liaison with the press and things like that. We have a lawyer. We have some fundraising people. We've got different people doing professional jobs to empower those volunteers to basically sort of hopefully make all that stuff go away so that the website's there and stable and safe for the future so that everyone can use it.
Wikipedia has an enormous trust by the users on the internet. Is that valid, you think, or?
I think most people have a pretty good feel for the strengths and the weaknesses of Wikipedia. I think most people understand, well, there's always some press story about some error in Wikipedia, so people have heard that. I think most people know it's a live, ongoing process to build an encyclopedia, but they also know it's mostly pretty good, and that as long as you're careful and use it in the appropriate way, you're going to be fine. Of course, occasionally we'll see someone who is, a journalist has relied blindly on Wikipedia because they were too lazy to actually go out and do some reporting, and then they get burned sometimes if there's an error. But in general, I think most people understand how you use Wikipedia.
I read somewhere that Wikipedia is more trustworthy than the written encyclopedias. Is that still true?
I don't know. That's a tough call. We had in Germany there was a comparison done by Stern, commissioned a research study to look at the quality of German language Wikipedia versus Brockhaus. And in that case, Wikipedia won the comparison. We're very skeptical of such results because we tend to be really hard on ourselves. So we're not so sure that the test was done really well. I think we are over time, we are becoming closer and closer to where we want to be, which is, we always say, Britannica or better quality. That's the goal. And I think in English Wikipedia, we reach and actually exceed that quality levels in some areas, and we don't reach it in other areas. So it just kind of depends. We're working on it. We'll make it good someday.
Are you a heavy Wikipedia user yourself?
Oh yeah. I use Wikipedia all the time. I'm not a really heavy editor in the sense of writing a lot of articles and editing. From the very beginning, I tried to stay out of the editing process too much because I have always had a kind of a special role in the community as a, somebody who tries to mediate conflict, and it's really hard to help people find peace in a conflict if you're part of the conflict, and so I kind of try to stay out. It's sort of I always joke that I'm sort of like a modern constitutional monarch. I shouldn't get involved in direct politics, but I mostly just wave at the crowds and
like
cheer people on. Yeah, I don't like the Pope analogy though. The Pope has significant absolute authority in a way that I don't. So,
okay. What's your favorite topic?
My favorite topic in Wikipedia. I actually, it's a funny kind of topic for an American because we don't have any royalty. But over the years, I've become really, really interested in particularly the British sort of nobility throughout history. Reading about all of the dukes and earls and kings and queens and sort of the history of that. I have no idea why. I find it interesting.
I read somewhere that you're a Apple user.
Yes, I am. I actually, some years ago, I used to be, I ran Linux, because I'm a real open source advocate. I ran Linux on my desktop. But I always had problems when somebody would send me a spreadsheet or something, and I would always have to launch, reboot my computer into Windows. So when OS X came out, and it was Unix underneath, so I can open up a terminal line and jump in Emacs and do all my Unixy stuff, and I felt really at home. And I could also open up a spreadsheet, and it just worked fine. That was when I made the switch, and yeah, big fan.
Happy, you're really a Mac geek, maybe, or
a bit of a Mac geek, yeah. I'm enough of a Mac geek to have tons of complaints, even though I love a lot of what they do. I have lots of little nitpicky complaints.
Like they're not open enough. And
Well, that's not a nitpicky complaint. That's a big complaint. It's actually a great irony that a lot of us who are in the free software world and really want openness, we also love Apple, and they're not so open. You know, they're sort of the opposite, very controlling. But I really like the design aesthetic of the Mac products. I think it isn't just the beautiful hardware, and like my laptop is just pretty and I like it. And occasionally I think I'll switch back to Linux and I go shopping for a laptop and I'm like, I can't carry one of these horrible, ugly machines, you know. But it's also the design aesthetic in the software that I really like. I think, you know, everything works together very smoothly and very nicely most of the time.
And that's maybe also because it's a bit closed sometimes.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's an interesting balance. Although, you know, Ubuntu is getting nicer and nicer every year, so we'll see.
Could you tell us, what have stroopwafels to do with Wikipedia?
Stroopwafels are very popular. It's kind of that's a very funny question. We've had a lot of different meetups around the world with different community members. We have a Dutch board member. He always brings the stroopwafels, and within the community.
Is that why he's on the board?
Oh yeah. Well, that's why we can't let him leave the board. But but yeah. So now within the community, it's just a thing, and they, you know, when the Dutch Wikipedians come to a conference in Egypt, for example, they brought a bunch of stroopwafels to sort of spread the word with the Arabic language Wikipedians. So.
Is there more about stroopwafels on Wikipedia than about Flemish waffles?
I don't know. That's a good question. That sounds like a political question. We try to be neutral.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.